આજે રાજન બેંગ્લોર આવેલ છે. અમેરિકામાં એમણે યુનોમાં પણ સેવા આપી છે અને અમેરિકાની અત્યારની પરિસ્થિતિ વિશે એને હું રિક્વેસ્ટ કરું કે રાજન યાર, અમેરિકામાં અત્યારે તારા યુનોના અનુભવ શું છે ને અત્યારે શું છે એની વાત કર.
So, right now, the United States likes to say it's a democracy. But we have a very strong crisis because of Donald Trump and the Republicans who continue to support Donald Trump. Donald Trump, unfortunately, was elected president. And unfortunately, he's proved to be a criminal. He stole national security documents after he was president. He was asked to return them. He denied having them. A court case was brought against him. He refused to give up the documents. Finally, the government had no choice but to get a warrant from the judge, send FBI agents, and they recovered some of the documents. But they found that he had lied, his lawyers had lied, and some of the secret documents, deepest secret documents, are missing. This is one. Second, he continues to deny that he lost the election. He tells his supporters the election was stolen, but he himself is trying to steal the election. He himself sent his supporters to overthrow Congress. He himself sent his supporters to disrupt congressional meetings, state electoral meetings. He and his supporters are taking away a woman's right to medical care by denying them the right to abortion. It's a very primitive, misogynistic, anti-woman, anti-democracy. He's against rights for minorities. So he's very, very regressive, and we can even say he's basically a fascist. He's a very greedy person, a very selfish person, who somehow has some sort of charisma which has mesmerized his supporters, and they've become fanatical, and they deny reality. One really horrible person who has helped Donald Trump and is really destroying the unity of society in the United States is Rupert Murdoch, who's only interested in his own profit. With Fox News, he's made it into a propaganda channel full of lies, and he's just repeating lies over and over and over again. So I'm sorry to say that in the United States today, we have a severe crisis, and the lines are very clear between those who support democracy and freedom and human rights and those who don't. And unfortunately, it's not just Donald Trump. He's a symptom. Because one man by himself could not do this.
Yeah.
And the saving grace for the United States was Donald Trump, besides being greedy and selfish and hateful and anti-democratic, he was also not very smart, surrounded by lawyers who were not very smart, and was incompetent. So he made mistakes. The danger for us is we just say Donald Trump is the problem, remove Donald Trump. But there are other people who are as bad or worse, but they're competent. So the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, who won by very, very narrow margin, has taken an extreme policies into practice in Florida. He's denying women the right to abortion. He's denying minorities the right to vote. He's trying to steal elections. He's writing the tax laws just to support corporations, but if the corporation doesn't support his policies, then he changes the law to attack that corporation. He's a very, very dangerous man.
And what is your experience in UNO?
So with United Nations, I first joined the United Nations in the year 2000, and I was working in the former Soviet Union in the Republic of Georgia. I was based in the city of Tbilisi when Shevardnadze, who had been the former foreign minister of the Soviet Union under Gorbachev, was then president of independent Georgia. Georgia is a very small country, roughly 4 to 5 million people. but a very beautiful country. It has a coastline on the Black Sea where the climate is subtropical, so you can grow bananas and oranges. But it also has some of the highest mountains in Europe, over 15,000 feet in the Caucasus Mountains. So in a very small area, you have so many different regions, so many different climatic zones. It's also really much a land bridge between Europe and Asia. Because from one direction, you can go south from Georgia, you go to Azerbaijan, Armenia, Turkey, and Iran. So the Islamic culture, Ottoman culture, Iranian culture influenced Georgia. From other side, you have Russia. So Russian culture influenced Georgia. Then from other side, if we go back historically, when the Mongols invaded from China, Mongolia, across Europe, they also crossed through Georgia.
Right.
So it's a real melting pot, which is reflected in the food, in the spices, in the culture. Very hospitable people, very friendly people, very wise and knowledgeable, but unfortunately also tragic people. Because they have some of the best poets, some of the best writers, but normally to have the best writers and best poets, it does not just happen with comedy, it also must be something tragic.
Tragedy.
Yes. And currently Georgia has some divisions. There's a region called Abkhazia, where the name comes from the Abkhaz people, and they wanted, just as Georgia got its independence from Soviet Union, Abkhazia wanted its independence from Georgia. Then there's another small region called Ossetia, with Ossetian people with their own language. But they and the Georgians were like brothers and sisters, very close relations historically. But because of politics, other reasons, they also split. So there was conflict in South Ossetia.
What's your experience in Afghanistan?
So after 2 years in Georgia, after 9/11, I was requested to go to Afghanistan after the US invasion. So in early 2002, the US had gone in force, and the Taliban basically ran away and hid. And I arrived in Kabul in the early summer of 2002. June 2002, I arrived in Kabul. And it was a fantastic time because the people felt liberated. The Taliban had really suppressed, especially in urban areas and cities where people were more cosmopolitan, more educated. The Taliban was not very popular. And I was working with a UN agency called IOM, International Organization for Migration. And we were focused on all the refugees who had fled Afghanistan during the war and all the internally displaced people who had to leave their city or town to go somewhere else, but were returning home. So we were trying to support them and help them. What do you need to resettle at home? To come from refugee camp in Iran or refugee camp in Pakistan, or from one part of Afghanistan back to your home. And almost always they said, we're going to rebuild our house, we're going to rebuild our farm, but if you can help us rebuild our school, then we can bring our children. So almost always school was the first thing they wanted, because then the families can come back. So we did many projects directly helping to rebuild schools, but then we also helped to rebuild the Ministry of Education, because a school is just a building. Then you need the teachers. For the teachers, you need the salary, you need curriculum. So capacity building for ministry through direct projects. Then as we're constructing in this area, maybe it's an earthquake zone. So what is the design for a school in an earthquake zone? So many different projects. Then after schools, we also asked, what else do you need? So they would say a health clinic, or we need a bridge, so that because we can't cross this river during the rainy season, or we need help with this road. So small projects like that. We were doing hundreds of projects to help people return, and very positive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rajan.
My pleasure.
This is a very unexpected meeting.
Yes, but
Malini and you come to my home and we discuss lot of things. And because of our Kakima, the grace. Thank you very much, Rajan. You come again. We will talk together.
Yes.
A lovely meeting with you
Yes.
and Malini and गणपति आरती. गणपति तो आए, आप भी आए. आप आए, बहुत मज़ा आ गया. मेरा चाइल्डहुड फिर से जिंदा हो गया. थैंक यू, राजन.
Thank you. Bye.